Well, meantime, today we're learning President Biden and President Xi Jinping of China will meet Monday on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Indonesia, their first in-person meeting since Biden took office. His advisor says he'll be focused on setting expectations. So let's bring in former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Joel Rubin. Joel, thank you so much for being with us. What can we expect to come from this sidelines meeting between Biden and Xi?
Yeah, Nicole, it's great to be with you. And this is going to be a significant meeting because Xi and President Biden, they've met in the past before. They've spoken over the last couple of years. But now a face-to-face meeting and doing this just after Xi took his third term as leader of China, frankly, to be the dictator for as long as he wants of China. And President Biden looking at China as the primary threat to the United States over time. It's a strong competition. And President Biden's going to have very strong words, I'm sure, regarding Taiwan and regarding China's expansion in the region, as well as strong words and positive words to the rest of those who are attending these meetings outside of this one bilateral.
Well, so Joel, you mentioned that the president will probably bring up Taiwan, also China's human rights abuses. What do you think Xi will be addressing?
Xi, for starters, is going to basically tell the United States to back off, that is his backyard, that he doesn't want any American interference, as he'll try to describe it. And he doesn't want to hear about our complaints and concerns about China's human rights violations. It's essentially enslavement of Uyghurs and violations that the international community has long identified as serious. And that's where they will come to butt heads quite a bit. But they're also probably, since they're both very pragmatic, going to need to find some language to tell the rest of the world that this is not getting into a dangerous territory, military conflict, as an example, but this is a strong competition, and we exchanged ideas with each other as part of this relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. So the president is saying that a face-to-face meeting is important so these two leaders can really lay out their red lines. Joel, what are those red lines, and have they changed?
Yeah, for President Biden, in-person diplomacy matters. He went to Saudi Arabia over the summer, took a lot of gruff here at home for it, but he felt it was critical to get there. He saw the Saudi leader turn around recently and raise essentially lower the amount of oil on the market and raise oil prices, and he had a strong reaction. So he's going to assess Xi, and part of those red lines to your question are about no invasion of Taiwan, no support for Russia and Ukraine, ensure that the countries in the region don't feel that you are encroaching on their sovereignty. Those are critical red lines, and Xi is going to have his own. But President Biden is looked at by leaders in Asia as the bulwark against a rising China and someone who has to have their back, and he does. And going in person is the best way to demonstrate that.
Well, Joel, we certainly can't talk about the G20 without talking about Vladimir Putin and the fact that he's not attending in person. We really know that Western leaders called for his invitation to be rescinded. But what do you think is the reasoning there for him not attending in person? Pretty obvious?
Well, first and foremost, he must be afraid of leaving Moscow right now. His military is in retreat in Ukraine, leaving cities that it had occupied for 6 months. He is condemned quite roundly by the rest of the world for inflating global food prices, creating a wheat crisis, creating an oil and energy crisis. There's a paradox here. The countries that have been supporting Putin internationally are the ones most harmed by his invasion of Ukraine in the rising prices, countries in Africa in particular. And so the G20 countries representing 80% of global economy, they're going to look at Putin and shame him. He just doesn't want to be there, and he clearly doesn't feel comfortable leaving home right now.
All right, Joel, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.